Hello, I'm Bud McCord. I'm here in Brazil, South America. Welcome to Food for Thought, Thinking with Jesus. We're listening to the words of John's Gospel, written by John the Apostle in the book of John. We're in chapter 20. Today is December 21st, 2021. And we're just simply seeing Jesus, hearing Jesus, loving Jesus because he first loved us, and with the hope that we can become a part of the delivery of the divine love into this world because Christ in us is the hope of that kind of ability, the hope of glory. I hope you're well. It's good to see you this morning. Marie, my dear sister, and Rhonda, God bless you guys for coming on in the morning and watching this. It helps me to keep my mind focused on talking to real people, not just to a cell phone here in Brazil. It's morning here in Brazil. It's a beautiful day. It's already warming up. We're in our summertime down here. We're in chapter 20, and I want to begin to read about the day of the resurrection and the day that changed everything for every one of us, the resurrection. You know, as we read through the experience that John describes of the crucifixion, I don't know about you, but it was traumatic for me to read it slowly like this. I think there's a part of us when we get to the story of the crucifixion, we want to read it really fast and get past it. But by taking our time and walking through this during this Christmas season, I found myself deeply and profoundly moved once again by this incredible story of God's love for each one of us. I'm sure that you did as well. Chapter 20 begins. It's not Friday anymore. It's not Saturday anymore. It's Sunday, the first day of the week. Now, the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb early while it was still dark and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. Then she ran and came to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved and said to them, "They have taken away the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." Therefore Peter went out and the other disciple and were going to the tomb. So they both ran together, and the other disciple, which is John, outran Peter and came to the tomb first. And he, stooping down, looking in, saw the linen clothes lying there, yet he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came, following him, and went into the tomb. And he saw the linen clothes lying there, and the handkerchief that had been around Jesus' head, not lying with the linen cloths, but folded together in a place by itself. Then the other disciple, who came to the tomb first, went in also, and he saw and believed. For as yet they did not know the scripture that he must rise again from the dead. Then the disciples went away again to their houses. But Mary, this is Mary Magdalene, this is the woman who washed the feet of washed Jesus' feet with her hair and with the precious ointment, the woman who had had a life of tremendous complexity and sinfulness. And she stood outside by the tomb weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the tomb. What captured my attention this morning and last night as I read this passage before I went to bed is that it rings so true. It rings so true. One of the reasons that I believe the Bible, and one of the reasons that I allow in my life that the Bible illuminate the truth, not half of the truth, is that the stories in the Bible ring true. They ring true because they talk about our failures and our faults, and it doesn't whitewash anything. It just says it like it is. And so these people are behaving like people who have just witnessed a violent, terrible death, and they still have to go pick up the pieces. They're behaving like you would or I would if we were deeply in love with somebody and they were ripped away from us by some horrible event and we were witnesses of it, and we could do nothing about it on the day before because it was prohibited to touch or do anything. That's how the Sabbath was in that time. And so they couldn't even go and be walking around weeping at the tomb on Saturday. It was against the Jewish laws. But on early Sunday morning, these people are wide awake, and they know that they just need to go see if this really happened. If you've been through grief, you just have to kind of keep looking again and again, did it really happen? Did it really happen? Did it really happen? So they get to the tomb, and all of a sudden, Mary Magdalene, who loved Jesus very deeply because he first loved her very deeply, and Peter and John come because they had been equally loved by Jesus. Now, here's what I think that I'm seeing that's helping me the most this morning in reading this, is that the world is a place of tremendous inequality. It has been ever since we left the Garden of Eden. And no matter how hard we try in our pursuit to make things equal, we don't seem to be able to create a consistent equality for all human beings simultaneously. We don't seem to be able to find a way to treat everyone equally well. That is, until Jesus. One of the most fascinating things to me, in my experience as a Christian over the past 50 years, is that women love Jesus as much as men love Jesus. And we're so different in our perspectives, men and women. But when it comes to Jesus, I feel deeply loved, personally. But I know my wife feels deeply loved, personally, by the same Jesus. Now, if we began to discuss how my wife's life been here in this world as a woman and my life as a man, we probably could find a lot of disparities and difficulties and maybe even some inequalities. And if you move that around among racial groups and you move that around among political groups and you move that around, boy, we've got plenty of room to be screaming at each other about the inequalities. But when it comes to Jesus, even if you're meeting at the tomb, thinking he's dead, he's still drawing people together equally. And so here you have a woman who came out of deep sin, and you have some men who have just recently, one who just denied Jesus twice. And yet here they come. It's like he's this magnet, even in his death. Here they come. They're at the tomb. And somebody's taken the body away. And I'm thinking, this is kind of a gruesome thing. They think somebody got in there, took the body away, and now they're going to do something to harm the body. Here in Brazil, when someone dies, Brazil does not have a culture of embalming people so that you can have a funeral 6 or 7 days after the death. No, here, if somebody dies, the burial has to occur within 24 hours. Now, there are some exceptions, but they're very expensive exceptions. So if someone dies right now that I know in this city where I live, we have to go into action getting to the viewing today. And then the burial has to happen within a 24-hour period, because without embalming, there's all kinds of implications about sicknesses and things that would happen because of the deterioration of the body. That's the world that Mary and John and Peter lived in. And so Sunday was a long way from Friday. I mean, in terms of deterioration, in terms of burial, that was a long, but they couldn't do anything on the Sabbath because that's the day of rest. So when they get there, they're not expecting to find life, but they still went there because the only person who had loved all of them equally was Jesus. And I'm sure they were thinking, we'll never be loved again like that. So the thought that keeps coming to me is this rings true. The way this is written, it rings true because it's exactly the way it would have been if there's no embalming and there's no planning. A violent death and a destruction of a body on Friday, by Sunday, you don't even want to think about that. But they still went there because they knew how deeply he had loved them equally. So it's a picture of equality. And Christianity should be known as a faith where there's neither male nor female, bond nor free, Jew nor Greek, no, nor not even rich and poor. Why? Is it because we're so good? No, it's because the love of Jesus is equal toward everyone. And once it is received, it transforms people into deliverers of equal love. This is the idea. The idea is that when you are in direct contact with perfect love, it will perfect your love. And perfected love means you don't make distinctions about people. You don't treat them any better if they're male or female, or you don't treat them any better or worse if they're slaves or free. That's the idea. The idea is that if we are the representatives of Jesus, then all those categories go right out the window. And in their place, we are to be a manifestation of Jesus' love to other people so that they can have an experience, a genuine experience, of being loved equally by Jesus. And when we are loved equally by Jesus, then we are able to love equally other people. If we want to cure the divisions among us, the cure is let Jesus love you. And then you'll stop complaining about never having been loved. You will have had an experience with perfect love, and then that allows you to dream of being a love deliverer in this world instead of somebody who's just getting along here until they end up in the tomb. For Christians, there's no more just getting to the tomb. We believe in him and we will never die. Physically, our body is shut down, but our spirit goes to be with the Lord. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. It's all mysterious, isn't it? But it still rings true. It still rings true. So today we leave Mary there standing outside the tomb weeping because the only person who had ever properly loved her has disappeared. That's what she's thinking. But something has been seen inside of that tomb that has changed John, it changed Peter, and it's about to change her because she's going to have a face-to-face conversation with the only person in the world who ever loved her the way every human being hopes to be loved. I think it's just absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I just can't understand for the life of me why people don't listen to this and let it ring true, because it is true. I've staked everything on this. Have you? I know you have. God bless you. Have a great day.